My game of the year, and the game that I'd argue I beat through, I played through more than any game this year. Like, I don't even know how many full playthroughs I did of this thing, and the playthroughs are not short. It's a bit different than, like, Hades, right? Did I start playing Hades last year? I think I did, right? I think Hades might have been a part of my previous year's Game of the Year stuff. I think I definitely considered it in my 2020 Game of the Year stuff. This is a bit different because Hades runs are essentially anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. Like, your first run may be like 45 minutes. So it is a little bit more compact. My absolute game of the year, like, I'm looking forward to a moment of playing through this game again and just sort of like revisiting all of the stuff from the very beginning. And I pray for a PC version. I pray for like a DLC expansion of some kind. It is 100% Returnal. So, let me tell you why Returnal is the best game of this year. This game is so Metroid it hurts, right? Number one, there's a lot of Metroidness throughout this is the year I truly became a hella Metroid weeb, right? Number one, the aliens influence all over the place, right? Like, ridiculously sprinkled throughout all top my 2.5, number 2, and number 1 games of the year. All over the place. And even as somebody that is not, was not, when I first played through this game, was not a Metroid weeb. By the way, we use the term weebs as just fan, right? You're just a fan of something, you're a weeb. I became a Metroid weeb later in the year, but this game definitely felt Metroid-like in so many ways, and that's mostly because of the aliens influence. So, what the hell is Returnal? Returnal is a Hades-like. I'm gonna say that and really piss people off. Returnal's a game that essentially is a roguelike game that is all about repeating this process and revisiting its world that changes on the fly. What's great about it is that the game has several biomes, as they call them, which is like unique environments that present you new and unique challenges. And I think one of the things that this game hits in a level that is so goddamn cool is its storytelling. We got a couple of like roguelike games that came out over the past year, which is Hades and this, that really go hard on like the storytelling aspect of death and repeat, you know? Where you're gonna go throughout this process. That's not just a gameplay mechanic, how do we make that a part of the storytelling? How do we put that into a proper narrative that is engaging and interesting? And Returnal in its development of that and how you figure out stuff and the way you figure out stuff, you discover your own dead bodies on the planet and get their data banks and data logs and just learn what happened to yourself back then, is nuts. I love it, and it really led me to moments where I'm going out and searching for all of these extra little notes and nods of what happened in this game's story. Setting is great, like the visuals are super good, and one of the most important things is the goddamn gameplay. I will say, there is elements of Hades that does the roguelite thing way better, where your actual proper upgrades in a game like Hades, if you got like Dionysus or you get Hermes or something like that, you really see substantial giant changes in your character super fast. And that is very, very, very satisfying in a game like Hades. This game has similar elements. This game 100% does the same thing, but I don't think it does those things as well because the game is spread out over a longer playtime. The upgrades you get are pretty minor, piece by piece. You will eventually come across things that will make a substantial change in your character, much less be like a super upgrade or a crazy good gun. But because the playthrough, the environments are way bigger, way longer, and there's way more stuff to technically get than, you know, the typical like Hades run, which is the example I'll use, they don't feel as impactful. That's honestly one of my biggest gripes, because every single weapon that you get in this game is nuts and way different, and each one does something substantially unique over the other. That's like the big thing you have is your weaponry, your gun. You eventually get a sword, right? You get this laser sword that allows you to actually have some pretty sick close range. But the coolest part is that you can build towards a ridiculous melee combat close range character if you want to make your run go as like smooth as possible. Anyway, it doesn't hurt that the actual engagement of enemies, it also helps that fighting enemies in this game is bad ass, dude. Like, you get all of the crazy action game tropes like kick in at some point, between like bullet dodging and like slow-mo and like all this crazy like bullet hell that the game eventually becomes. It is badass. And taking on a room of like all these monsters that are just chasing you down and hunting you down and like trying to rip you apart, and will properly do so, and you utilize all the mechanics and the environment at your disposal to clear out this shit. Oh, dude, it is truly awesome. Not to mention, the enemies are awesome looking. Like, every single enemy in the area, in each area, does some like crazy unique stuff and has a unique visual design. There's some truly horrific ass looking stuff. I really, really, really loved like the bizarre eldritch horror kind of thing that this game was setting up. So I loved it, man. Yeah, these are the guys that made Resogun, which I never played before. These are the guys that were essentially responsible for very arcade-like games. And the greatest part of this game, what I love about Returnal, outside of the story and all these elements, is that its gameplay is a true wonderful combination of like modern storytelling and advanced like gameplay design with classic arcade elements. Like, it really has the super poppy, super satisfying like character movement and shooting. It does all the things that like an arcade game should do. Yeah, it's crazy addictive. Like, as soon as I would die, I would immediately fire up another run, even though I know that run might take me like 3 hours. One of the biggest problems the game had at launch especially was that you had to be committed. Like, you actually had to dedicate yourself to a run. You could not save, because that was technically a part of the game's story. That their artistic vision was that you could not complete the game unless you had a dedicated amount of time, which I do think was asking, let me get my ass out of here, which I do think was asking a bit much from general game players. Not everybody is going to have like 3 to 5 hours to dedicate to a run. And if you have to like get to a boss in the second biome and then lose to that boss, you got to go all the way back to like the first ass biome and finish that shit too. It is difficult. There was some consideration made for this. You can put your PlayStation and game into sleep mode, but you couldn't use your system for like anything else. You couldn't update it. You couldn't play other games, stuff like that. It was kind of, and in my opinion, it was asking a bit much of the player. It wasn't much for me, because this is my literal damn job. And I could dedicate like 5 to 6 hours per day playing it. But they eventually changed that. That is something that they had done recently, was actually allow people to have access to the game in like a save point kind of way. And yeah, some people are saying you had shortcuts. You did, but for example, if you just wanted to do the second biome, right? If you wanted to beat if you died at the second biome boss, I don't know if there was many shortcuts between like biome 1 and biome 2. And dude, let's go back to my first biome 1 playthrough. It starts back here at like 45 minutes in, and it goes all the way to my boss fight is here. First boss fight is almost 3 hours in, man. And that's because I was like actually like searching and traversing the environment and looking for stuff. It was, first playthrough was like 3 hours. So that's asking a lot from people, man. I think eventually you do unlock shortcuts for sure. But even on my second biome run, where let's see how long it takes me to get through biome number 2. So biome 2 took me, even this took me like a couple of hours to get to. So just to the point where I can actually unlock a shortcut in like biome 3, damn, man, you're asking a lot from people. Like, not everybody has that kind of crazy time and dedication. So I do sympathize with the users in this situation. I think that the devs definitely had this creative vision that you have to like sort of figure everything out in one run. I get it, but I think the way it is now is a lot better. I think the way it is now just makes more sense and is more easily accessible for people that don't have, you know, 1 to 2 hours to figure this stuff out. Granted, you can blitz through this game. You can cruise through this motherfucker super fast. So by the time I was doing like my 4th or 5th run through all the biomes, my God, dude, I was doing it in like one brief session. It was ridiculously fast. So either way, that's like one of the biggest gripes this game honestly has, and now has been mostly alleviated. Which is more of a reason why I think this is once again more reason to check back the game and reanalyze and revisit it if that was one of the things that was turning you off about it, because this is truly, in my opinion, the best game of this year, and I was not ready for it to be. The bosses, holy shit! It's funny how boss fights really end up being such a critical part of games for me now. You know, like how you're going to engage with this like fight that has thrown all this stuff at you throughout these previous levels, and here's a new boss to make this shit crazy. We're looking at like a biome 1, biome 2 boss, but there's a boss fight that comes a bit later when there's a big change in the game, and I think it's around biome 4. Oh my God, man. The build up, the entire level is a build up to this boss fight, and you don't realize it until you get to the boss and you're like, holy shit, and the music kicks in and you got to start fighting this thing. I'm like, God damn, this game is fucking incredible. Holy hell. And not to mention, arguably one of my favorite levels in the game is the final one. And I don't want to spoil what it is, because even though the game's been out for a while, the final biome and its setting and how you get down there is super creepy and insanely atmospheric. And the goddamn music, dude, the music to all of these fights and these levels is so haunting and so creepy and so fucking cool. I love this goddamn game, dude. Holy shit. I can't wait to play it again. On PlayStation 5, it runs at like 1080p and they upscale it. So I very much hope that this is a potential PlayStation future PC title where they will allow us, because this feels like a game that would do very well on PC. I really, really, really hope that they give us the ability to play this on PC. Please, my God, because it already visually is incredible and runs great. To give us like a proper actual native frame rate, I'm sorry, native resolution and better frame rate would be amazing. Would I play it again? I would, but I would want to start over. I would not want to jump back into this character and start revisiting stuff, because I'm essentially like story complete. And one of the most fun parts was discovering again, or would be discovering again, how the story presents itself to you. Like the house thing where you revisit this house that pops up in very specific places, only at very specific times, and gives you very tiny bits of information piece by piece by piece to eventually figure out what the hell is going on. Dude. And not to mention like the actual twist, like the actual what is happening with the story by the time you are completely done with it, by the time you actually reach the end of it, is just like, kiss my fucking fingers, dude. This shit was amazing. I'm gonna stand up and clap for this fucking game. It was so good. It was so ridiculously good. So, Returnal, I honestly hope there is a Returnal 2 at some point. 100%. This shit, and here's the funny thing. This is a personal game of the year list for me. I can absolutely acknowledge that this game might not be for everybody. This game might not hit the notes that it hit for me personally. But for myself, and I'm the only one that I can account for. I really am. I'm the only fucking person that I can give you the opinion that is mine and the way it is. I fucking loved this game. It was so much fun, to the point where I beat it like 4 or 5 times to unlock the true ending, and I tried to discover as much as I possibly could. Housemarque killed it in a game series that is completely original, not based on anything before, is an advancement or a modification of an existing genre, right? Is a big, like, these AAA sort of like roguelite games. If this is the direction that we're gonna get, like the Hades / Returnals is where we're kind of going, oh my god, dude.